Good morning, everyone. This is Laura, and this is Stuff I Find Interesting. Again, I'm going to try to speak up so that everyone can hear me. And we're going to get started. I'm going to slam this together. I've got some fun stuff for you. Now, last time we were talking about the Boussage Mountains, and I found that wacky site. And I said, ooh, I got to save that and come back to it. So I've saved it. I've posted it. You can look at it, and this is the drawing of what the inside of the Boussage Mountain looks like, with the energy barrage and the mountain's brow and the tunnel entrance and the first energy barrage. I think they probably mean barrier. I think that's a translation. So here we have the Sphinx, the Romanian Sphinx, looking all Sphinx-like. Is it erosion? Is it man-made? Who knows? Here we have the landscape. As you can see, it's a very beautiful, beautiful area. It's been occupied for at least 30,000 years, probably more. This is where it's located, and it has some stuff about the Vatican and the tunnels and Guatemala and the Pentagon and energy barrier, underground structure. They managed to drill past the first barrier, but the second one could not be bypassed. Anything that was thrown onto this barrier turned to dust, and when the soldiers got too close to the barrier, they would collapse from cardiac arrest. But once they got through that, apparently someone got through that, they got into what is known as the Grand Gallery. The wall inside the Grand Gallery seemed synthetic, but also felt like something organic was part of it. It had the color of oil, but the reflections were green and even blue. We got sparkly stuff. We got national security stuff. You can read all of this. It's really kind of wild, and it talks about genetic that in this cave. So this is the whole basis that in this cave there are the tablets that prove that humans are hybrids that are created by aliens. I think I have that right. And they're also giants. And then it goes on, and then it goes out of control. So we're just going to bail on it, but it's going to be included so you can read it for your entertainment. This is a picture I came across on Reddit. The katas of Tzitzuntan Mihoken. I apologize for the massacring of that name. This is the Tarascan Empire, which existed from 1300 to 1530 AD. We look at this structure, and it looks like it might be impressive, right? And if we look at what it looked like, I had a picture of what it looked like. Oh my God, I'll find it. It'll come up. I think it might be in the pictures further down. This is where it's located, kind of in central Mexico. There it is. So this is what it looked like. There was a terrace, and then on top of the terrace were these sort of stupa-looking things. That's stupa, not stupid. And there were more stairs, and you could go up to this other area. So I'm not sure what would have been up there. I don't think it would have been quite this plain, but that's what it looked like. And that's a society area that I'm definitely going to come back to because it looks very cool. But that's just sort of a superficial. Check out that cool picture. This is the panoramic view of abandoned ruins of an ancient Khorazm fortress, Ayakala, in the Kazikhlum Desert, Uzbekistan. So we're going back to the stands. We love the stands, right? This is think of the amount of time that has to pass in a dry desert area for a structure to look like that. And tell me that it's just a couple hundred years. I don't think so. I think it's a little older than that. I'm just saying. This is where it's located. Here we have Uzbekistan, right? We have Xinjiang, Tajikistan, Mongolia up here. We've got the elbow of Saudi Arabia. And then we've got Uzbekistan, which is not quite the most northern stand. It's like in the middle. But if we go in, we can go in. We can see, just from the way the earth looks, that there's been a lot of settlement and resettlement, and there's probably all kinds of stuff buried. So that's kind of fun. And this is what a typical structure might look in that particular area. And as we can see, it is a yurt. These are some random pictures. William III or King George III His topographical collection of Switzerland for your visual enjoyment. You can blow them up and look at them. I kind of thought they were charming. I'm not sure why. And I don't know if I think I looked up William the Third, not George the Third. King George the Third. No, I did look him up. I had the right guy. So this guy was the, oh, look, see, I saved it. He was the King of England when the United States went through its revolution and became independent. So just an interesting side note. This is the ruins of Falin, which is in Colombia. It's a mine. Remember, I was talking about mines, and we're going to start going into that a little bit more. This is a crazy tunnel that goes into one of the mines, and it is a kind of a crazy, crazy place. Let me translate this. So it's in the Colombian. It's in the middle of the jungle. It's kind of a lost city. The Cuida Perdida de Falan, the lost city of Falan. And I'm not sure what Falan looks like. I'm not going to look it up now. But it talks about how it operated as a mining district and how it was exploited and kind of went to ruin, and here we are. So a tale as old as time. There's a nice little video that you can watch to learn more about it. This is a random cool picture. This is Chichen Itza. We love Chichen Itza, right? Here we have a couple. They're probably guides that were guiding the archaeologists or the photographers to the area where these ruins could be found. These have now been dug out, but just look at the size of this thing. It's huge, right? It's very cool. And that's probably his wife. So I just thought that was a very charming little shot of life. And this was taken somewhere between 1893 and 1935. That's a big spread, but there you have it. Cool random picture. This is a building in Berlin. I don't know if it's still standing. You can look it up. I thought it looked very moody, like I wanted to sort of come around that corner in a very dramatic way, maybe wearing a trench coat or something. I don't know. This is a cool thing that I found on the Altea Gallery, which I really enjoy. It's another place where you can find maps and kind of random stuff. This is a French almanac, but look at the amount of detail that this person has crammed onto here. I mean, just an insane amount of information. And unlike the other thing that we looked at that had the descendants of Christ and stuff on it, which was sort of not proven, I guess. Some of the stuff on there is not proven. It's, biblical or religious or spiritual based or whatever. This is stuff that is proven. This is like, imports, exports, how many people are in the army, how many companies there are, what their budget was. See, look, there's the budget right there for everybody to look at. Just a really cool kind of thing, right? I thought that was a neat thing. So now we're heading into articles, headlines, random stuff that I found that I thought was cool, and then we're going to go into our conspiracy theory. So let's open all these up. Most of these I've just kind of included for your enjoyment. This is an article. I don't even know what this is. This is like 52 pages of lighthouses. If you know someone who likes lighthouses and loves old pictures of lighthouses, this will make them exceptionally happy. So there you go. So there was a time when California sterilized 20,000 people because the people were deemed to be feeble-minded and deviant. Not too long ago, 60,000 people in total were sterilized based on eugenics laws. Most of these were performed before the 1960s in institutions for the so-called mentally ill. We talked about that last time with the Victorian asylums and the insane asylums, and how they were around until the 70s, 80s, and then they went apart. So this is an article that talks about where that kind of came from and what happened and who it happened to and who were these people. This person did a lot of research and was able to sort of track down exactly what happened because it wasn't exactly publicized. Like, hey, we sterilized a bunch of people because we thought that they were mentally deficient. Um, doesn't really, go over very well. We found that many parents and guardians consented to the sterilization of their loved ones. Sylvia, a Mexican American mother of a toddler, was 20 years old when she was placed in Pacific Colony in 1950. She was assessed with an imbecile IQ of 35 and reportedly had been raised in a violent home. Sylvia's mother ostensibly could not control her daughter and approved her sterilization. Interesting thing, right? Or maybe not so interesting. Interesting, but like not in a good way. Palicureros, the women who hunt for gold at the top of the world. This is in Peru. And there is a gold rush going on right now. So it translates, palicurera translates as gold picker. And they're literally just picking in the ground for gold. So this is another slice of life. They live in shacks that are at the base of the mountain that they're searching for gold on. I would imagine that they're in very poor conditions. You can see it looks like a very unforgiving kind of landscape. This girl's like, oh no, it froze. I would imagine it gets very cold there. So we have some more pictures of this way of life and hunting for gold at the top of the mountain. So the next time you look at your gold ring or your gold watch or whatever, I don't know, take a moment to think about where it might have come from. This is the Bashu culture in Sichuan and Chongqing. This is a something that I've made reference to before, so I'm just kind of including it for you to read. And it's lots of, like I've said before, lots of exciting stuff that's kind of trickling out of China in terms of archaeology and the fact that it goes way, way, way further back than we ever imagined. And that seems to be the same across the globe. The needle is being pushed back as far as how long civilization existed, how long were people experienced mechanically, able to put together armies, able to have, some sort of society that was controlled in some way. These are pictures for you to enjoy. This is the Lishan giant Buddha. This is also in China. This is a place I did not know existed. Bam, big Buddha. And there's some stuff in there. And again, I apologize for the stupid links. In order to find really good stuff, you have to kind of go to these sort of crappy sites. William Heath Robinson. He is an artist. I guess you would probably call him more of an illustrator. And I really enjoy his stuff, so I've included something for you to read and enjoy. He did a lot of pictures that had a lot of detail in them. Like you could sort of study and say, oh, this guy's doing this thing, this guy's doing that thing. Let me see if I can find a better picture. Like this one you've probably seen before. This is a fairly common one that gets reproduced a lot. This is called The Fairy's Birthday. But he painted a lot of fantastical things that were just really wonderful. The Colors of Pakistan. So this is interesting. This is a stand within a stand. This is an not really independent territory, but sort of its own territory within Uzbekistan itself. And there are 50 old ruined fortresses, which were probably along the Silk Road, and they were called Kalas, Kalas, also spelled as Qala, which translates into fortress. And this goes into where the area is. So if we scroll out, we can see, yep, there's Uzbekistan, and there's that stand within a stand. So there's been a lot of military action that goes on here. Now, you actually probably know this location and don't know that you know the location, but you know the pictures you see of the Aral Sea with the boats just sort of sitting on the sand with nothing around them. That's probably this area. This area has been one of the hardest hit by the drying up of the Aral Sea and the lack of water resources. This has some pictures of the various forts, and as you can see, they are very, very old. It says 12th and 13th centuries. I don't know. I'm not really buying it. Look at that. That's crazy. So it talks about the different ones, and then there's some stuff that you can go see in Karakoram, Pakistan, if you wanted to go, like a place called Nukis or the ship graveyard, right? I was just talking about the ship graveyard. This has some pictures of the ship graveyard. This has some more pictures. The stand within a stand. If you had some money and decided, hey, I want to go there right now, this tells you where you can go, what you can do. Now, this is the birthplace of Al-Khwarizmi Kiva, who was a mathematician from whom the word algorithm comes from. So he was a famous mathematician who kind of came up with the concept of what an algorithm is. What does that mean? And he also named it. I couldn't possibly define that. I don't even know where I would begin. These are some really pretty embroidered caps that are worn in that area in a ceremonial kind of way. Look at this, $650. Beautiful, though. Here's another one. Just gorgeous, beautiful work. If we look at the inside, obviously all handmade. Here are some costumes for you to look at from that area. Very colorful part of history. You know, all these different symbols mean different things. The colors, the way they're put together. The dressing over there is totally different than the way it is in the United States. I mean, I'm talking about the traditional kind of dressing. Obviously, Western dressing is time. This is William Heath Robinson. This is a picture of him. And a very good time. They had too. Very cool, right? Okay. We are heading into... we are heading into me spazzing out and not hitting the button right. Into conspiracy land, right? This is very exciting. Let's go into conspiracy land. Let's see, what are we going to be talking about today in conspiracy land? Well, first of all, we have to translate that. Okay. What? I just translated it before. What do you mean it couldn't be translated? There we go. So, the United States, North America, when were people here? When was it civilized? How long ago did people come together and live in actual civilizations that were sophisticated and complex with irrigation, garbage disposal, sewage systems, schools? When did that happen? The stuff that we're taught in school, that I was taught in school, that Christopher Columbus came here, everybody was basically kind of jumping around in loincloths, and then that the Great White Hope kind of came in and converted everybody and civilized everything. So that the implication is that things were not civilized before then. So it's like, were they not? This goes into some history. That's just some prehistory for you to read. But one of the things that makes this very confusing is finding the first Americans. Is that when genetics is studied, like the genetics of various peoples from various places, it seems as though people came into North America, people left North America. People came into North America, people left North America. People came from up here, people came from down here. So there was various waves or pumps of people that could have perhaps started their own civilizations. We don't actually know. But it's important that we know because it allows us to understand how far back people lived here. And how did they live and what happened to them. Basically, the debate over how first people arrived in the Western Hemisphere continues to roil archaeology in the United States and to capture public attention. Today, the scientific community is contending with significant amounts of new genetic and archaeological data, and it can be overwhelming and even contradictory. These data are coming from new archaeological excavations, but also from the application of newly developed tools to reanalyze prior sites and their artifacts. So, you've got like LIDAR, all kinds of amazing technology now that we can use to go deeper and to go further. Did humans first populate the Americas 100,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago, 15,000 years ago, 13,000 years ago? Did they come by boat? Did they come by overland? So this goes into sort of, it discusses it a little bit in a very, very straightforward way that I thought was really nice. Here's some books that I was looking at. And look, we have the Jesuits and the Incas. Remember last time I was talking about the Jesuits? I'm going to have to look into what the deal is with them. So, you know what? Oh, I can't look at it. Cities of the Midwest. So in Michigan, they recently discovered a Stonehenge at the bottom of some water there. And what is Michigan next to? Michigan is next to, oh crap. Man, where do they find it? Oh, yeah. It was in Lake Michigan. Hence the name. They found a henge thing in Michigan, and there's more studying going on, but there's evidence of a society that we didn't really know existed, which is kind of wild. And Cahokia was in that area, and that was America's great city. And they were apparently trading with the Toltec Mexico. They had pyramids that were higher than the pyramid of this, almost as big as the pyramid of the sun at Teotihuacan. This is it was about as big as that. So if we go to Cahokia, that's Toltec. Oh, I didn't do a very good job here. You know what it is that I counted too heavily on that one bookmark, and I can't get into it because it's paywall blocked. But human poop reveals that climate change caused the fall of Cahokia, a medieval Native American city. Yes, it was a city. It was a big city, and it was just kind of abandoned. And they're saying that it might have been abandoned due to flooding, which is interesting because there's maybe perhaps some evidence that around that time there wasn't just flooding in the United States, but flooding kind of like everywhere happened. So prehistoric Michigan covered by ancient seas, tropical jungles before mitten formed. So this goes into what Michigan looked like and how it was tropical. So who knows? There could have been people roaming around in boats doing stuff. This says that this was found in Ecuador, and look how much it matches our dollar bill. So this is the far out there conspiracy stuff that I'm bringing up right now. And this was in Russian, but you can translate it. And it talks about some antiquities that were found that nobody can explain, that have been dismissed by archaeologists. Here we have the Tower of Babel that was found in a field randomly. Like, where did it even come from? Here we have dragons, Tower of Babel, dragons. It seems like everything's all connected, right? So there's this idea that America was separate for until 1492, separate from everything else. But that's not the case. There was a whole bunch of going back and forth. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that. These are some more plaques that were found, more stuff that was found. Stuff about, this is funny. What kind of Christianity Columbus bringed? Excellent. But this goes into it. You can read it for yourself. But I think, in my opinion, there were definitely people here, and they were definitely sophisticated, and they rose and they fell, just like we're gonna rise and fall. But not today. Today we're going to have a good day. Are we not? We sure are.